She pursued her culinary dream by enrolling into IHM Aurangabad, which she passed with honors in culinary arts in the year 2012. She trained at many five-star hotels and went on to study the Grand Diplôme from Le Cordon Bleu, London, and is an expert in French patisserie and cuisine. Anahita joined Soda Bottle Opener Wala when she was all of 23, and has been with the brand till 2021, where she took the brand from one restaurant to 9 all over the country. She focuses on popularizing Parsi cooking and has written a cookbook which is coming out in 2021. She also promotes local seasonal produce and sustainable cuisine. For her, food has to be delicious and nutritious. Then we have Mitali Sahai, who is the founder and chef at Mr. and Miss Bakery. Mr. and Miss Bakery is a self-funded dream project founded by Chef Mitali Sahai. After having been the co-founder, chef, and creative mastermind at Bomb Bakery, she's classically trained chef in patisserie who blends sophisticated culinary techniques with unexpected, whimsical, and nostalgic ingredients. Mitali is a proud alumni of IHM Aurangabad from the class of 2008 and began designing her intricate business plans throughout her hotel school. She then gathered valuable experience at the Taj corporate office, managing the business end of things. Her passion and habit to bake landed her at the International Culinary Center, New York, where she both worked and trained under the legendary Mad Hatter and cronut creator, Chef Dominique Ansel. Mitali believes baking is a perfect amalgamation of art and science that brings joy to the producer and the end consumer. With the right balance and the right attitude across the board, perfection can be achieved. Fortified with Mitali's myths, it is safe to say that Mr. and Myths aims to float both nationally and internationally. Then we have Dipin Katariya. Dipin Katariya is a business owner of 2 entrepreneurial ventures. After graduating with flying colors from IHM Aurangabad in 2010 and kitchen management training from the Oberoi School of Learning and Development, Dipin built a successful career with the Oberoi Group of Hotels and reached a career high as the head of F&B operations at Oberoi Vanai Vilas Savai Madhupur. An unfortunate incident left himself incapacitated and unable to continue in the role as a chef. His circumstances served as the driving force to establish Olive and Thyme Hospitality and Peace de Resistance. The decision to start his own hospitality consultancy firm paved way to many successful consultancy projects for Swiggy, Bar Stock Exchange, Boxate, alongside the company of Peace de Resistance. He was instrumental in creating wildlife experiences for the Taj and Oberoi hotels. Dipin now runs both ventures synchronously through strong management techniques and by always thinking ahead of time. This success as an entrepreneur has been largely due to his commitment to expand his core competencies in the areas of travel, hospitality, and wildlife. Dipin believes that his decision to diversify has made him more adaptable to change in business and to stay relevant in the current business atmosphere. Next, we have Kunal Laharia, who is an entrepreneur, life coach, business mentor, and spiritual healer. Kunal is an alumni of IHM Aurangabad from the class of 2002. Kunal has a diverse spectrum of business ventures, including restaurant, bakery, and fast food establishments, to name a few. At the age of 34, he had already developed a self-sustainable and self-generative business model that allowed him to have exponential growth in business and his personal world. As a life coach and business mentor, his vision is to elevate the standard of living of each human being. His intention for being with us here today is to give clarity and purpose to all participants who intend to succeed in any of life endeavors. And we have Nakul Bhonsle, founder of Great State Aleworks. Nakul is the founder of Great State Aleworks a craft brewery based in Pune. A self-taught home brewer, Nakul began brewing small batches at home when he was living in Brooklyn in 2012. Exposure to the booming craft beer scene in the US inspired him to quit his job as a training analyst with Reuters and move to India to set up Great State. Nakul now runs this brewery known for its inventive brewing philosophy and is at the helm of these experiments in a pursuit to use local ingredients such as bajra, kolam, to name a few, in the classic beer styles. Great State recently launched a first of its kind millet beer project, an interesting collaboration between farmers, NGOs, and academia. As part of his commitment to brew beer with locally grown millets, Great State has released two beers brewed with locally sourced in bajra. Apart from brewing, Nakul works closely with chefs to discover new ingredients and food and beer pairing. Finally, our moderator for today's evening is Mr. Rushad Kavina, the Dean of Undergraduate Studies at IHM Aurangabad. He is a proud alumni of the Institute from the class of 1997. Mr. Kavina has worked with the Taj Hotels in the area of food and beverage service and has now been with the Institute for over 16 years long. Over to you, Mr. Kavina.
Thank you so much, Nishant. That was very extensive, and this introduction would tell our viewers what kind of an esteemed panel we have today. Esteemed and young, as you can see. So the perspective you're going to get is going to be very interesting, and it's going to be very, very fruitful for everybody who's joined in today and who would be watching it going further. So without taking much of your time, let's jump into this. The panel discussion is going to go in such a way that we got to get two sets of questions. Each set has one question per panelist. The first set of questions is more on your learning of the last 1 year and what it has been like while you've engaged and managed your businesses. And the next set of questions, that one question that will come to you, will be more on what is the future going to be like, and what are your perspectives to that. So I will start the first session, and my first question is to Anahita. So Anahita, you've been a successful entrepreneur for a while now, and you have run a very well-known and renowned entrepreneurial venture called the Soda Bottle Opener Wala, which a lot of people know about and is trending on social media. So a general question to you, what does it take to be a successful entrepreneur, especially at your age?
Hi, good evening. And I mean, the panel is esteemed and everyone here is from IHM Aurangabad. So I really don't need to say anything. I just feel really proud to be here and connecting with everyone after so long. And obviously, thank you, Mr. Kavina, for having me here. Everyone who's watching, I just want to say, even when, I got to know that we're going to be having this discussion, I thought about the couple of points that I want to talk to you, but I realized that there's no set recipe like a pastry recipe, So pastry recipe will tell you exact measurements, exact technique, exact method. Entrepreneurship is not that. The books will teach you something, but when you're on your feet and you're on the ground, you're literally like a commie in the kitchen, running around. प्याज भी दे दो, ये भी पकड़ा दो, frying pan भी दे दो. I'm just being very, very on the job, explaining it to you for everyone who's watching, especially all the students. So entrepreneurship is not something that's just cut out of a book and, handed over to you. It's played in it comes to you in different forms. So for me, I grew up the ladder. I joined as a chef manager, and I took more initiative. The company saw me taking more initiative. The more I worked towards the entire team building the business and taking it ahead, I came to a position of chef partner, and that's how my entrepreneurial journey started. So I actually just started by being an employee in the company. And honestly, this 1 year has taught me that nothing is fixed. Your teams really needed you this year. So I made a conscious decision to get the restaurant back and running. And side by side, I also established my home business because I realized that there wasn't enough funds coming into the restaurant for me also to partake and, take back something home. And that's where I started working out of home and setting up a business, because I realized that the market at that time when lockdown had just kind of eased, the market wanted people to deliver home cooked food. They were finding that safer and better than going to a restaurant. So I seized that opportunity and I decided to do something with my mom, which I've been wanting to do for the last 8 years that I've been with Soda Bottle Openwala. And that's when I realized that there's a huge potential, there's a huge market. And slowly I gave my position up at Soda Bottle Openwala, and now I am running my own business, and I'm really happy to be launching my own book, which is also coming out this year. So I just wanted to say that nothing is fixed. All you have to do is put in that hard work and actually use those opportunities that come your way and give it your best shot. Because honestly, if you're there and you're present at a moment, you can get the job done. People are willing to invest in you. People want people who will take that step and initiative. So, I mean, those are my 2 minutes to just give you a little explanation of what does it mean to be a successful entrepreneur.
Thank you so much for that, Anahita. So definitely hard work, diligence, looking for opportunities, absolutely important. And not missing those opportunities is something which is a key takeaway there. Moving on to Mitali. Mitali, as an entrepreneur, what have been your key learnings in the past 1 year?
Good evening, everyone. And thank you so much, Mr. Kavina, for having me. It's wonderful reconnecting with my college and being involved with such a lovely panel. So thank you for having me. As far as your question is concerned, am I audible?
Yes, you are, Mitali.
Okay,
absolutely.
Okay, great. So 2020 has been a great year of learning. In fact, I had the opportunity to shut down one business and start a new business. So I had loads of learnings which I can share with the students. One of them being you have to be very agile with your work. So you have to know all the facets of your business, know your product really well, know your service well, know your market, know your customers, and respect your competition. Never fear competition, as it ensures you're on your toes always. So, the pressure in the real world is really hard. And to face it, you need to be on top of your game always, both with internal and external stakeholders. So I'd say 2020 was a year of complete uncertainty. And you had to really adapt yourself to be with the uncertainty. So just for example, for something like our business, which is the pastry business, we had to adapt. Like Anahita said, people were looking for home deliveries. People had stopped celebrating birthdays and having parties, and business had really dried out in 2020. So we had to think of ways to innovate and create products that would kind of create a demand, so to say. So I would say we came up with weekend specials. We did Tuesdays and Saturdays specials where people didn't really need that occasion to place an order. We created new products and created special menus just so that people could we needed to engage customers. So that's the kind of adaptability we had. Then another point I'd say is you have to have low fixed costs. Always make an effort to keep your fixed costs low. Keep monitoring your fixed costs on a weekly and fortnightly and monthly basis. And your fixed costs would be your rents, salaries, heat, light, power. all of that keep them very stable. So all of these depend on the location of your business, the type of staff you hire, the type of equipment you use, and monitoring them closely will lead you to higher efficiency, which is the key to being successful, I feel. Then you can also keep in mind that you have to have a bottom-up approach for your P&L. People always look at the top-down approach, but I feel like having a bottom-up approach really works well, because seeing your sale per day or your revenue per day gives you that feel-good factor. But what really helps the business is the bottom line, because that's what goes into your bank. So, you have to ensure that profitability is high. And an example for that also, I would say, is basically, I think you should have a good base business. And for restaurants or like cafes and pastry shops, it's good to have B2B contracts or like engage in bulk orders and kind of, push those kind of sales so that your bottom line is strong. So that's an important thing. And then another very important learning is that people in the hospitality business is everything. Your team is your biggest strength. And I learned that it was very emotional, because our entire team stood by us throughout the entire chaos of 2020. So, it's very important to know that your teams, you have a good team and invest in good people. So yeah, I think these are my 2 cents on what I learned in 2020.
That's very well said, Mitali. I agree. Managing costs, managing finances is important, but at the same time, adapting to situations and being creative is something that is extremely important. And of course, managing your team, that is very, very right in what you said. So I move on now to Dipin. Dipin, you are involved in the B2B service providing and in consultancy. So as a B2B service provider, how have you weathered the storm in 2020?
Good evening, Mr. Kavina and all esteemed panelists. It's such a nice feeling to be a part of IHM again, just after a decade, which really doesn't feel like, because if you've been, I hope I'm audible.
Yes, absolutely, okay. Loud and clear.
Thank you so much. So just a small brief, because we're doing it for third year and fourth year students as well. So B2B, I'm sure most of us know, business to business ties, like Mitali mentioned. So I supply mostly to the corporates. So my work is a little different. Started off on a different note. So it's not a journey. It's not just about my own journey that I have to talk. So the other esteemed panelists, they have their own journey. So I'll start off with the points directly. So 2020 was a year where a lot of challenges were there for everyone, but I would talk about the opportunities that I could see there. That's the way I perceive things, and that's the way I want it to be. So like Mitali said, 2 points are really common but different for both the work. So I am into wildlife work as well. So wildlife work, and like you said, for B2B tie-ups. So mostly B2B. So if in case it is curating about any of the product, expenses play a vital role. You have to know your expenses really well. Cutting down on the personal consumption part was, I think, lacking. So throughout the operation of 6 years that we've been serving, sir, we've maintained our cost really low. We have questioned ourselves at every step to know whether we are going right, whether we need to have this kind of visibility, or we can do away without any visibility, because our clients need to be satisfied. When we stop on our personal, on our variable and fixed costs, then we are able to supply the services at their optimum levels at economical prices. So people really want to stick to you. So that is an important matter. The only change that I personally did along with my team members was stopping on the personal consumption, which people tend to miss out on a regular course. But during these COVID periods, we tried controlling on that as well. So we could sell easily. The second point that I would bring on the table would be process improvisation. In due courses of 6 years, in the initial 3 years, we had limitations to resources and a little time, because we were learning and we were delivering. We were learning and we were delivering. But after a while, our resources started growing, but time started reducing for process improvisation. We know that something is lacking, but we cannot just change it, because everyday deliverables are there, more sales are there. So we have to keep ourselves on toes. vis-a-vis due to COVID, we all were on a standstill. So we could revamp everything that we had to restructure, and it played a vital role for my companies. So it didn't really affect me. So we have to really know what needs to go away, what needs to stick to us. So this was the time where we could really do work on that aspect. Uh, Third part was again in line with Mitali. So teams play a vital role. We call them team members. So all the team members who were there. Now I have two set of team members. A set of team members who are into wildlife safari excursion creation, and a team member of chefs. So during the lockdown days, we were stuck. But post opening, we were not getting that many numbers in terms of sales. So what we were doing is my chefs used to cook for my wildlife guys, and my wildlife guys used to take them for the nature talks. Simultaneously, they could train, understand each other's perspective. We didn't relieve people. We reduced down the salaries, but we got them on board, and we started giving them meals. Alongside our own team members, we started preparing meals for certain needy people. So it really became an activity where we became even more closer, got aligned with the company's goals, and started moving ahead faster. Now, the two important points that were really very important and really helped me during the COVID time was investment opportunities. Whilst the world was going low, from the 5 6 years worth of operation, we could generate certain revenue, and we were keeping a check on that. So this, like, even if I had to procure something and it would cost me 100 rupees, this was really the opportunity where it was a buyer's market because everyone was going low. So we invested ourselves into asset creation, and we could really get a lot of assets out, and the investment part was really something where we could work on. The last but not the least, whatever I've been doing for past 6 years along with the team members, it was really nice to know whether we are required after the COVID break, or whether our clients will lose faith in us. So this was true test of 6 years worth of work, which really outshined. We didn't just got back to work, we got even more new clients on board, which was really amazing. This was something that I was actually waiting for. So in a regular job course, you have your appraisals, which are done by your seniors. So you know where you're going, where you're missing. But when you're your own boss and boss for others as well, you tend to question yourself a lot, whether we are going in the right direction, not just monetary. I'm not just talking about the monetary aspect, learning aspect, everything. But at the end of the day, whatever we do, we provide either goods or services, whether they mean something to the client or not. That gets tested only in a difficult situation when we come back. So when we came back, everyone was there to support us. We do not have any issues in terms of payments. Our clients are corporates. Yes, there were delayed payments, but we did not face any issues. Instead, it was more of an opportunity time for me. So I would like to sum it up to that, and also say one more thing that I've learned as an entrepreneur. It's not something that I've learned it, but it is a saying by Adolf Hitler: if you win, you need not explain. If you lose, you shouldn't be there to explain. So one must not stick to the idea that I'm an entrepreneur. What happens if I lose it? If it's not happening right, there's always a right exit time, and one must not stick to the business like, yes, it is everything for me. No, this is not life. This is major part of life, but this is not the end of the life. And that's it, sir.
Thanks, Dipin. I completely agree. It's never end of the life. There's always an opportunity coming up. Like even Mitali said, look for those opportunities. And one of the things that you mentioned, and so did Mitali, was managing team, managing your people at the work set. And that brings me to the next question, which I want to put to Kunal. Kunal, even when the world was dealing with the challenges of the pandemic, how did you manage your team? How did you manage to keep your employees and yourself motivated and positive? Kunal, you'll have to unmute yourself, please.
Is that good?
Yes,
okay,
we
so
can
I
hear
have
you.
a technical glitches here, so please bear with me if you could. And thank you so much, Rushad sir, for having me here, and Jairam sir as well. I mean, thank you so much, Nishant, for coordinating this event. Um, Tough times have always come. It's been 20 years in this industry, and I've always faced tough times. And tough times have always been like part of the second name of the hospitality industry. But what is more important is if I take a life review now, and if I go back and see, uh, this is just another flavor to the the cake. It's just a different flavor to what I've already faced so many times. So you just have to be nothing and generate yourself every moment, just taking one step at a time. So I tell my staff that this too shall pass, and this doesn't have any more importance than the importance that you give it to the situation or the problem. So I know that life doesn't stop for anyone, time doesn't stop for anyone, and you can't hold anything back. So this will also pass, and I keep my staff motivation always high by telling them that I have a fleet of 250, 300 staff working for me in a chain of restaurant setup. Secondly, I always keep my horizon of my staff far beyond. Like if you look at a railway station from the platform, you would see it in a certain specific way. But if you raise your bars up to the second floor or third floor, you will definitely see it in a different way. If you go to the 110th floor and see the same platform, you will see a much bigger horizon. You will see a much bigger perspective to the same things that you call problems as opportunities. So I have this way of, conversing with people, getting into their spaces and creating opportunities with them. So in the toughest period, when we create opportunities for people, they actually feel blessed to work with an empowering team, rather than somebody who is just trying to struggle with their survival mechanism. So I always tend to get into their personal space, speak to them, get personally in touch with them, increase their horizon, tell them this is just a phase. When there is too much of information coming and your left brain is shut down, I usually go to my core and I connect with my core, my intuitions, my gut feelings, my passion. And cricket is cricket because of Sachin Tendulkar. And this is the example that I give everyone, that if you and I are the Sachin Tendulkars, people will follow us. So I always keep myself as a role model for all the employees. So I keep my spirit high, I keep myself in passion, I keep myself in high spirits, and that is what allows people to say, no matter what, I mean, this guy is not giving up, why should we give up? And the kind of the positivity that you radiate through really gets your team back into place. Communication really works with them, having been them in communication. I always quote this. I saw this in a cartoon movie. It said there was a role of a lizard, and he wanted to move out of all the problems. But the wise man said, you can run, but you can't hide, and no one can escape from your own story. That was a time in my life when I heard this. I was dealing with a lot of chaos, a lot of denial, a lot of anger, a lot of upset. And when I heard this, I cannot run away from my own story. And this is what I keep telling people as well. Like, no matter how difficult your job is, but wherever you go, you will find such kind of adversities anywhere you go. So you are in the right place. You just have to learn the lessons correctly, and then you will move on to the next level. And people have been rewarded tremendously when they have not escaped, or they have not been in denial or anger and blame game. Rather, they have supported me in the endeavors that I am doing, and because of which I am able to mentor many other people in the restaurant or the business world. It's like just keep going on. I just keep taking actions, new risks every day. It's like, you're standing in the middle of a boxing ring, and you're getting punches left, right, and center, and you're just holding one more breath, one more step, and maybe the last punch would be the knockout punch. So you just keep going on. You just keep going on. You don't give up, and giving up is the only thing that will take you out of the game. So I keep my spirits high, I keep my spirits of the staff high, and I just tell them one thing: only if you've given up, you failed. Otherwise, it's only a lesson that is learned, and life has many lessons for us that needs to be learned. So I keep the spirits of my staff very high, and that's what I keep doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kunal. I completely agree with you. Never give up attitude. That's extremely important when you're dealing with challenges. And of course, the importance of communication, empowerment, when you're dealing with your staff, absolutely crucial. My next question will be to Nakul. So Nakul, being from the business, from the beverage business, post lockdown, what were your, how did you revive and renew your business, after the lockdown was lifted? So we've heard about all the challenges that people have faced while at lockdown. So in your business, how did you revive your business? How did you renew your business?
I mean, thanks first of all for having me here. I think I'm the only non-IHMA or IHM, alumnus here. I'm actually from a commerce and finance background and somehow landed up here.
But you're part of the IHMA family as it is already. So
yes. Always good to be back and interact with faculty as well as students and share whatever little I've learned. So yeah, to talk about our experience of being a beer manufacturer and supplier, where we are not in retail, we are also B2B before lockdown. I think like Dipin mentioned, about opportunities. All entrepreneurs are very optimistic. I think optimism is needed. And one of the quotes that stuck with me during the lockdown, as I had some time to retrospect and think and just take a pause, in life, was never let a good crisis go to waste. I'm sure we've all heard that more than enough this last year. And what that meant for me was just to realize that when we restart, it's an actual restart opportunity. We were restarting. I was given a chance to restart my business and do things right, which I didn't the first time around. First time I was this passionate home brewer turning professional who didn't know how to run a business, and we just kind of went with it. So in terms of revival and coming back, I think one thing we did right was to focus on unit economics of the business. Really know where we are spending money, why we are spending money, and really know our economics to the T, which I had a sense of, like an intuition of, but really getting back, doing it right was good. And I was forced to do so because obviously financial resources were limited. You had to conserve cash as much and extend what little you had for a long time. So biggest thing for me was just restarting by becoming a leaner outfit. Lot of excess waste that we indulged in before sort of got out of the picture. Another really interesting thing that happened for our industry during the lockdown was like right after the lockdown was, for the first time, the Craft Brewers Association of Maharashtra came together. So we were 25 breweries that lobbied with the government to make some policy changes. Alcohol is extremely regulated, especially in our country. And we needed, for survival, we needed policy changes. Otherwise, it would be impossible for 25 of us and another 20 that are currently opening to survive. So this became another example of not letting a good crisis go to waste. We negotiated with the government of Maharashtra, got a very significant policy change. And because of that policy change, breweries like mine, from becoming B2C, also had an option to become B2C, from B2B, went to B2C. So we have an avenue now to sell beer directly to a customer in a growler. It's a 1 liter bottle. That got its own set of challenges because it was the first time we were doing B2C. So it was good learning to kind of diversify as a result of the lockdown, which that diversification became a way to revive ourselves and to stay afloat.
Thank you so much, Nakul, for that. We can see what an effort it must have been for you to revive your business. And I agree to you when you say that, it is important that government comes forward and works along with the industry to, make certain policy changes. And that's the debate that's been going on at various levels across industries. And I'm very happy that it happened for you, which gave you an opportunity to restart. So moving on, my next question, and I'll go back to Anahita now, and we're going to discuss about the next set, which is what do we do going forward? And we have a question for you, Anahita. You are very active on social media. You're almost like a celebrity. You've got n number of followers, and so we thought it's apt to ask you, how can entrepreneurs leverage social media going forward to grow their businesses? What are the do's and don'ts that you would, want to tell our younger aspiring entrepreneurs when it comes to social media?
Okay, so social media is, honestly, there are lots of do's and don'ts. I'll tell you the do's first and then the don'ts, because the don'ts are also very important for students, and we will get to that later. But do's are definitely, so the thing is that we, all of us, at this stage and the last 10 years where social media has kind of boomed, we have this as an opportunity and it's a resource. Before us, like, my dad's generation or your generation, you never had the power of social media. And honestly, I call it the power of social media because you're reaching X number of people, which is much larger than you would, in a restaurant seating or in a banquet setting or whatever it might be, 1,000, 2,000, 5,000. Here you're reaching way more than that. And my social media journey honestly started, and this is something that might be helpful for the students, is I started my social media account, especially Instagram. I started it for work when I was at Le Cordon Bleu in London, when I was actually taking really beautiful pictures of all the food that I was creating. And that's when I realized that, Instagram had just started and I started posting pictures. I had 200 followers, which were just from Facebook. They were my sorry. So they were just my friends from Facebook. And honestly, I started working on it continuously. Every time I found something interesting, I started sharing that on social media. And that kind of grew slowly. Now with Soda Bottle Opener Wala, again, I started that social media account. We started with like not even 500 followers. Now we're at about 25,000 followers. And my account, which I started with 200 followers, is at 100,000 followers plus now, which is all organic, purely because I have used the platform that I have and I've constantly been dedicated and consistent. And that is the only way social media algorithms work, if you're consistent. So every day, whatever it might be, you're sharing it on social media. I've tried this, I've tasted this. You might be annoying to some people, but honestly, it's what you do best. If you are a connoisseur of street food and you are in a city where you've got amazing street food, explore that. If you're a person who likes experimenting with cocktails, talk about cocktail ingredients 1 month, talk about cocktail equipment 1 month, learn and share. And that is what social media is. It's huge. The platform is great if you use it well, if you understand it well. And the only way to kind of understand is by being consistent and learning and sharing. And the last thing that I want to tell you is that there is a huge opportunity, and this is what I've seen during the lockdown. And I'm going to give you pure numbers. So I had 60,000 followers in April 2020. And in July 2020, I had 100K followers, which is the fastest it's ever happened. Why? Because during lockdown, everyone was on their phones. Everyone was connected on social media. Everyone was wanting to cook at home. That is where I saw the opportunity and I started sharing everything. I'm making breakfast. This is my recipe. I'm making lunch. This is my recipe. And I saw people responding left, right, and center. They were cooking, they were creating, they were tagging, there was engagement like crisscross happening. And it just exploded. And that's when I realized that I'm actually sitting here for 7 years, which I had worked on it. And in 4 months, I've got 40,000 followers. And so I saw that as an opportunity. And since then, even though the lockdown has eased, I still keep sharing recipes, even though I have to be back in the kitchen. But there is still a kind of calendar that I've made for myself. Okay, so let's share basics of cooking. Let's share some healthy recipes. Let's share this, let's share that. So I kind of create that content myself and I create it, shoot it, and share it on social media. And that way, the last point that I'm coming to is how you can monetize social media. And there are companies and brands that spend on ads, but there are also brands as chefs, and this is purely for chefs I'm talking about, that they are willing to pay you to try products, create products from their brands. So if a Nestle approaches you, or, for example, if a Korean noodle brand has just entered the market, you are a chef, you can experiment with it and you can share it on your social media and you do get monetized for it. And there are paid partnerships. So it is also a revenue model. So these are all the don't. These are all the do's. But what's the don't? Now the don't is very important because I've seen this happening firsthand. Social media is not going to make you a chef. That is very important. You can't come into the kitchen and be on Instagram the whole day. I understand 10 minutes, 20 minutes break time, sutta break, whatever you want to do, but not during the whole day that you're just going clicking and captioning and hashtagging. Can't do that. So definitely that is a problem. That is a, addiction. So that has to stop. But yes, categorizing, making a calendar, working it out at going back home, planning it out, or in the morning, however you want to do it, do that because it's a great platform and you are right in the center of it. It is going to boom. It is going to get bigger. So I would totally say start investing some time in your social media and creating good content, not rubbish content, good content.
Sir, you were on mute.
Yeah, sorry about that. So thank you, Anahita. I completely agree to what you're saying. Social media has its advantages as far as you use it correctly, and most often than not, we see a lot of people getting carried away with social media and, indulging in things that they shouldn't be doing. So that was very well put, and thank you for that. I will move to Dipin. Dipin, what are some of the emerging trends that you see that can influence the growth of hospitality entrepreneurs, in the situation that we are in now?
Certainly, Mr. Kavina. I've jotted down a few pointers that are really relevant to my work. I believe they will be for others as well. Again, sir, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, Dipin, loud and
Certainly,
clear.
sir. So sustainability is really the big trend. I believe in sustainability from the day I started working, not just for myself, but for anyone. And yes, it is a big trend. We have to now, especially we have to make sure that our carbon footprints are reduced, whether we are in hospitality sector too, because the glaciers are melting and these things are real-time concerns. So next point is really environment. And yes, I will not stretch something that is already some to our own, to our best understanding. The second thing that you had only highlighted, sir, the changes in the policies that the government is constantly making, the political factors. So we do pest analysis for our work, but political side of it is really something that is outshining now. So the government is constantly making new policies, new changes. We have to keep a track of them. As young entrepreneurs, it's our responsibility to know how we can make use of everything that is around us to build our dream that we want to sell. So to make it a sellable dream, we at least have to know whether we are following the compliances, which are much more stronger than before. The FSSAI is becoming much more stronger. The subsidy part, like I said, the farm bill, that is a little sensitive topic, but if MSP and all those issues that are there, if addressed well by the government, it will really be a boom for young entrepreneurs and F&B professionals, which I'm a part of. The other thing, like I said, for pests, so technology is playing a vital role. I have worked majorly on creating cloud operations, curating menus, and doing things for. So I would take a real-time example that I started working in like 4 years back. So for ex-client of mine, which I cannot disclose the name of, we so they were delivery partners to many of the restaurants, not just many, like any or every partner who would want to tie up with them. So these guys started collecting data. Why? It's not really something that they had to do. That was their job. So X amount, so X place orders, how many, let's take a simpler example, say dosa. So if I'm in Bangalore, so Kormangala is one area, or let's go to Aurangabad only, where we are from. So if I'm from IHM Aurangabad and we are in Rozabag, where the delivery partner has been serving only dosas ordered from various restaurants, but dosas. So there's a data that is collected. Now, those guys are really smart to come up with the next model that was already in the planning phase, where they started making that dosa for that particular area. So their understanding of the operation was much more ahead. Their costs were always in check. They wanted kitchen designs that can serve only dosas for that particular area. So they didn't go in for heavy kitchen expansion in particular area, but because food tends to get like lose its value the more and more time it rests. So those guys are really smart. So we also have to understand what are the smarter things. So for that we have to practice, we have to learn, we have to be there. Now, post COVID, that thing has changed. Now that has come to a different side. Now people are losing confidence in visiting restaurants. We have to get them back. It is reviving, but not at the pace which it used to be. Like Anahita mentioned, that people are following digital media. And I saw in 6 months, they were everyone was cooking. People who don't even know, see, they were cooking and they were posting videos and pictures. It was amazing. So that has led to new sides, new horizons. Now we are working on a concept. I cannot disclose it fully, but then I'll tell you the snippets. We are working on getting celebrity chefs on board at a common space, not really a 5-star, but they will come there. They will get everything from the farmer. Means farmer as in like the guys who are the producer of those things. So we have new suppliers of cheese. We have new supplier for X, Y, Z things. So they will come on board. The chefs will come on board. It will be booked by the guest on digital platform, and then it will start gaining confidence for the people. Alongside there'll be art, culture, and it is supported by government. So I'm working on that kind of project. So this is a new side that I see only possible because of digital transformation, where the faith will come back to the client. Till that time, it will be a little uncertain. So the last point is that there is uncertainty in the business. So this is more this time calls us to be more focused on what we are good at, what we are supposed to do, and wait for the next settled approach to come, and then drastically move ahead. At this time, I would say, sir, it's like playing a little safe, but doing the right thing is the time. That's what I see.
Thank you, Dipin.
Pleasure.
Do the right thing, stay safe. Completely agree with what you're saying. And some of the things that you highlighted are definitely relevant in the times that we're living in right now. My next question is to Mitali. It's a little more on the social ownership aspect. Mitali, from the learnings that one has had of the current crisis, how do you think hospitality entrepreneurs can be more inclusive and contribute towards society?
Am I audible, sir?
Yes.
Okay. I would like to split this question into inclusive and contributing to society. I think both of them are interlinked, but I'd like to address them separately. So I think an inclusive workplace makes a very healthy and happy workplace. And I think I've successfully made a couple of my workplaces in the past pretty inclusive. We have always had a great ratio of women to men, like always 45 to 55% ratio proportion of women to men. So I think kitchens have always been a scary place for women to enter, and how you make your environment conducive to women working there is very important. And I've always supported women and given the kind of flexibility that's needed to make the kitchen an inclusive place for women. Also, I have always had a couple of differently abled people in our kitchens who initially pose a lot of challenge to train, but once they're trained, prove to be a great asset because they pick up a skill and do it repeatedly beautifully. So right, for example, like making cake boxes or packing brownies, they do the same job every day repeatedly really well. So I think making an inclusive kitchen is very important. Also, contributing to society in line with my first company, which is Taj Hotel's core values. I think giving back or contributing should be a part of your business plan. So I'm a firm believer of this and continue to carry this out in my personal and professional capacities. For example, one of the CSR initiatives we have been doing is with the Robin Hood Army. So in the kitchen, you have a lot of wastage and trimmings while making cakes and stuff. So instead of wasting that, we make really nice cake, rum ball kind of desserts, and we distribute it to the needy people in the villages close by. And the kind of response we get for this activity is so satisfying and immensely satisfying, I would say. So, I encourage all entrepreneurs to indulge in any kind of CSR activities and give back to the society.
Lovely, and so happy to know the kind of things that you are doing to help the society at large, especially in the kind of situation that in where a lot of people need help. So that's wonderful. My next question is Kunal. You also don't had business mentor. Okay. So what is the kind of entrepreneur mentorship and incubation available to young entrepreneurs today?
Kunal, you're on mute.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, brilliant. So what are the opportunities available? There are a lot of opportunities for businessmen like us, entrepreneurs, for us to get trained in the industry. So there, I know a few. I have not participated in all, but I can just refer to you what is best possible right now. My suggestions. So Landmark Forum is one thing that I have been participating. I have taken on leadership roles in Landmark, and I've been trained by Landmark for last 9 years. That is completely a business where it's a business where you get trained into self introspection, finding out your own blind spots, because when Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change that you want to see outside, it also meant that you are the only block in your own path to success. And we don't know that. We think that we are all set up, we are all decked up, we have all 3 chips on the shoulders, but we become the biggest roadblocks in our life. And we don't know that. We just don't know that, and we don't even know that. So Landmark really gives you many sets of tools. It's like entourage of tools that you can work with for yourself, self-development. I have not been to many of these programs of Vivek Bindra, but I have found him very powerful as a motivational speaker. I have attended one of his webinars. That was a free of cost webinar. He has given a lot of tools on marketing, guerrilla marketing in terms of how to achieve untapped business, how to create opportunities, how to tap your employees, how to motivate them. So he's got loads and loads of knowledge, and I have been taking a little bit of inspiration from Vivek Bindra. So he talks about management a lot. So that is one thing. Arindam Chaudhary, he has been one of my role models since the beginning of my career. IIPM is the name of the institute that he has, and I've been reading a couple of his books. I never got an opportunity to enroll into his program and learn something from it though, but I would recommend anybody on this platform. Arindam Chaudhary is one amazing person who has his own modules. He has devised his own grids. He's created his own ways of doing businesses, and that is very different from the routine businesses we have seen so far. Lean management. So hospitality is an industry, and unfortunately it's not been recognized as an industry which other manufacturing industries like automobile, they all get a privilege. But we are an industry, and as all the norms, all the technical stuff of manufacturing industry and retailing industry and supply chain management, everything applies to us, from wholesale to retail to everything. So lean management is a Toyota production system. So lean management is something which is which helps you to create zero defect products, zero defect processes, and zero defect product processes and people. So if you are somebody who's interested in finding out how to become somebody who's like, it's called Six Sigma training though. Then there's Kaizen, daily improvement. Every day you can make improvement. 365 days you are a completely different person, because every day you're improvising the same soup or the same product or the same service in a different way. That's immense transformation. So lean management, if you have heard it, you must have already known how greatly, immensely it is applicable in any industry. But if it is a new thing for you, I would recommend you try this lean management stuff. Mind mapping is one more way you can find out. Um, you can really get loads and loads of ideas. So you have a left brain, which is a logical brain, right brain, which is an intuitive brain, and all your ideas and creativity and imagination is stored in your right brain. And to get that on your paper, mind mapping is something which really helps somebody else to get the ideas on the paper. So you would not have to write down the entire book on what you need to do, but on just one sheet of paper, you can get and capture all the ideas. And it's very powerful to just look at it and get yourself sorted out at the beginning of the day and get back onto your work. So mind mapping is another thing. Other opportunities for business development in the market, I would say, forget all of that I've said. Find a mentor, find somebody who's a role model for you, find somebody who can give you two things. One is a direction. Even a Mercedes with like petrol loaded doesn't get a direction. It can go absolutely in the wrong end of the world. So you are the Mercedes, just get the right direction and find a mentor who can give you right direction, because that can make a world of a difference if you just get the right direction in life. And I would say get clarity. If you don't have clarity, if you don't know why you're doing what you're doing, if you don't know how to deal with what you're dealing with, just get two things in life from a mentor who can guide you, maybe from any industry. It must be from an automobile industry, that's fair enough. But if he can give you direction and if he can give you clarity, you can find a mentor just next door or maybe in the same city where you are. And I'll just repeat whatever I've said. Landmark Forum, Vivek Bindra, Arindam Chaudhary, lean management, mission control, mind mapping, and get your own personalized mentor wherever in nearest city you can. So I have heard one thing, just to close this thing. I heard from somewhere, I don't know, Ambani's also have 13 coaches. One coach is for coaches for business, one coach is for only for investments, and one coach is to tell them how to dress. So if you can find enough mentors in your life who can give you different perspective or aspects about how to become a good entrepreneur in different ways, it would be a very fulfilling journey for you, because new perspectives give you a new zeal and new enthusiasm to step into the work, the same monotonous work that you've been doing. So it gives you a lot of benefit. Thank you so much, sir.
An exhaustive list of mentorship options that entrepreneurs or budding entrepreneurs would have. And maybe I can add one more name on this, Kunal, Laharia, and maybe people can reach out to you and get how to go forward. So to my last question to the panelists, and that goes to Nakul. Nakul, what advice would you like to give budding entrepreneurs who are looking at building successful startups in the current environment?
I mean, that's a loaded question. There's so much to say, with just 3-4 years of experience. But I think I thought about this, and thought about like two things that I would like to say from my personal experience, especially from the industry that I'm in, and I think it would also apply to most of the students here. As craft brewers, most craft brewers are passionate home brewers who love to brew beer at home, and that's how they move into thinking of starting a production brewery. And I've seen this in the US a lot, that it's one thing to have a hobby that you're really good at, and then there's one thing to run a business. Ultimately, your passion is left aside and you become a manager. So one piece of recommendation for anyone who's looking at starting a business is get some relevant experience where you get some management experience. Apart from brewing beer or cooking, you have to manage teams, you have to manage accounts, you have to manage you have to forecast your sales, there's so much of the other office stuff that we don't imagine that we need to do. And any experience you can get before you start really helps. When I after my undergrad, I spent 2 years in a student organization where we were, it's called ISEC. I don't know if anyone's heard of that, but I was quite active, and at a young age I was able to manage teams and manage budgets, and even now after 10, 12 years of ISEC, that experience is what I go back to when running my business, and nothing in the middle that I did when I worked a job as an analyst has come in handy. So the right kind of experience for just a limited amount of time, right? If you do 10 years of working in a big company, it's going to take a lot of time. I also feel genuinely that working in a big corporate environment is not going to give you that exposure in a short period of time. If you want to get yourself exposed to all these aspects, you need to find a small company where you can learn. And I mean, you can't learn so much, but you can get exposed to different aspects, so you know what's coming your way. And one more thing to add, I'm not a big reader in general, but I have noticed that there are certain books that help an entrepreneur really like refocus and motivate personally, because that motivation at a lot of times is lacking. There's no boss, there's nobody else trying to get you back when you're a little demotivated. So if you can get into a habit of reading, some books relevant to your field, it doesn't have to be, it can be technical, it can be entrepreneurial, anything, it helps. I personally, I hate thick, fat books. I always choose my books where the font size is big and the pages are less than 200. And it really helps because I can get by in 2 weeks and I am re-energized. So every time I'm feeling a little lower or I don't have ideas, I hunt for books and I ask my friends, suggest something that's small and crisp and precise. So it's a good habit. I'm sure all our parents have been telling us, but as a younger person or a relatively younger person, I'll also say that maybe it gets registered this time.
Thank you very much, Nakul. That was great advice to all the young minds. And to all the panelists, that brings me to the end of the questions that I had for the panelists. And it has been an extremely fruitful one of conversation that we've had. And we had planned for 1 hour. So we've come to the end of it. There are questions for viewers, and before I take them, I would like permission if you are all okay on time, and if we can be another 10 minutes or so and get 2-3 questions in. If that works, then we could do that.
Yeah, no.
Sure.
Sure.
Sure, sir.
Great. So my last question was to you, Nakul, and there is a student of third year hotel management, Rahul Shah, whose question is directed towards your business. So I'll start with that. He says, an inspiring brewer, I want to know what were the hurdles that one faced to learn about brewing in India?
I think one of the biggest hurdles is, first of all, home brewing in India is not legal, right? So you can't really brew beer at home. It's a big gray area, so it's best to avoid. When I was in the US, it's legalized. There are shops, you can source all these things. There's a lot of information available. So the biggest hurdle I feel is that aspect, because if you are able to start brewing at home, you can start learning yourself, right? But to overcome that hurdle, I think we are lucky that a lot of passionate home brewers have come back to India to start breweries, and typically these breweries are very open to taking you on as interns, to teaching you as much as they can. So that hurdle of the initial learning can be overcome by interning at a brewery for 3 months, 6 months. Really gives you a good perspective of everything from inventory management to recipe creation to quality control, and also to the operational side of things, whether it's selling beer, at your brewery or kegging it and supplying to bars and restaurants. And of course, these are all hospitality students we're talking to, so you'll definitely get exposed to front of operations at a restaurant. So yeah, the biggest hurdle is how do you start learning to brew? And I think the best way to get over that is just go spend a couple of months at a brewery.
Thank you, Nakul, for that. The next question is actually an open question. Anybody can, maybe contribute to that. It comes from Dr. Satish Jairam. He would like to know, would you advise the cohort of people who have lost employment? So, anybody would like to go on that? What would you advise the cohort of people who lost employment, to become entrepreneurs?
Good evening, Mr. Jairam. I have a small question to that. So, are we talking about people who lost their job or people who became over-aspiring and quit their jobs? So, which part are we addressing first?
So I'm just going to say I've been a part of many forums lately, and I've heard that up to 80% of staff were laid off, sent off on sabbaticals. People were asked to take voluntary leaves. The bottom line is that none of these homes actually had the same comfort that they had before the pandemic. So irrespective of the format, it doesn't matter whether you quit out of your enthusiasm, a lack of opportunity, or you quit because your management gave you the soft pink envelope and said, this is the right thing for you to do at this point of time. So the key issue for us to address is there hope? Because employment is never going to return the way it was. And it's important for us as senior leaders in the business to create hope. And one of the ways in which we can create hope, I heard many of you people say, I'm extremely proud of the fact that each one of you is such a successful individual. We need to motivate people to go out there, take their chances, make their choices, take the risks, step out of their comfort zone. And I just published something which came out, I think, yesterday or today. And it's important for us to bring that kind of hope in. And it is also important for us as individuals who've been experienced to forewarn the others about what lies ahead, which is the part of my second question, which is the entrepreneurship system in this country well organized? And then from a policy making perspective, which is, it is possible for us today to make representations, to lobby, to make our voices heard, okay, to say what we want to say, because it's the right thing to say. As leaders today, what do you want to change in the system which is not working? So I'm just going to leave it open because many of the questions that have come on below are all connected. And it's all about recreating the future, the one that you did yourself because you had a vision. And now to revision that, to bring in a new wave of resurgence, to motivate greater people to get out there, tell them, forewarn them, and also make a contribution to the future by saying, this is what I want to change in my lifetime. So it's open house. And before I sign off, I'm just going to say, what a great sense of pride to see all of you here. So Anahita, Mitali, Kunal, Dipin, and Nakul, thank you so much for supporting us at the last event we had at the Institute in February when we had our graduation. You've also taken some of our very fine kids, and I'm hoping that they're making a huge contribution. But I can't even tell you the sense of fulfillment and pride that I feel, which is why I wanted to be quiet and just listen to all of you, because the roles have reversed today. I'm learning from all of you today, and thank you so much for that.
Jairam sir, this is Kunal here. This is something which I have been always dealing with in last 10-15 years being in the industry, and I've also mentioned this in my conversations before. that the hospitality industry is nothing more than a glorified dhaba, okay, or it's just a glorified version of a roadside restaurant which is turned out into a, you know, a 2 crore, 3 crore investment kind of venture, but doesn't have any recognition in terms of the policies, the the kind of taxes benefit that these industries get. The kind of benefit the other industries, the manufacturing industries got during COVID and everything, they demanded, they had a lobby in their demand. We do not get any such kind of privilege because we are scattered, because we are independent, because we play small and they play big. The size of the investments is absolutely the same. The size of operations is the same. The size of manpower is absolutely the same. Yet we are not part. We just, for the sake of it, we call it industry, but we are nothing but just glorified roadside restaurants or hotels or lodging, glorified lodging, I would say that. So we need to maybe come up with some idea. Maybe institute would be very functional or maybe handy to create this big noise about this industry is a industry and it's not just independent small restaurants on the roadsides.
Yeah, thank you for that, Kunal. I just wrote a policy paper for hospitality education. I'm going to write another policy paper on recreating a new future for young entrepreneurs in India. So that's a point I'm going to take up. Thank you for that.
Somebody coming from US getting a degree in engineering gets a venture. I mean, the kind of loans that he gets is much bigger than if I come from, Cambridge University doing hotel management. I would not get even a single rupee loan based on my education. But if somebody comes from the same university doing an engineering, will get a different status in a bank or in government placement. So we don't have a listening. That's what I just wanted to put up in the forum right now. Thank you so much.
If I can just step in here.
Hi, Mitali.
Hi, good evening, sir. How are you?
I'm all right.
Okay, so to add to what Sumit just said, I think that's absolutely fair, but that also makes it an extremely easy industry to enter. So the barrier to entry is very, very low, and that's what I would advise people who've lost jobs or who are on the verge of becoming entrepreneurs, that it's a very easy industry to enter. The F&B industry, you just hone your passion and your skills and you give it your best, and you can be successful if you have a good product and you market yourself well. So it's a very big, I would totally encourage people who are on the verge of becoming an entrepreneur, because you can enter this industry very easily and be successful.
Thank you, Mitali. That gives us hope.
Good evening, Mr. Jairam. How are you?
Hi, Anahita. Good to see you again.
Pleasure to see you. Your questions are always as extensive and they have like some A to F parts to it. So I don't remember all the parts definitely, but I'm just going to contribute here and, just say what has worked for me and what I can, advise young students to kind of do. This is what I've learned from a very young age before IHM as well. I don't know if it's a Parsi trait or what, but my parents have always told me to constantly, if I can, have a side gig going on. And I don't know, from the longest time, even when I was in college, I used to contribute to like magazines and come up with recipes and earn some sort of pocket money. And this is my advice to young students. You have so much going on, and I'm not talking about the employment part in a restaurant, in a hotel. It's very difficult currently to get internships. I get a lot of internship requests and I try and place people as I'm connected to, the hospitality groups on WhatsApp or, however in the country. So I try and, connect people wherever I can, but it is difficult. You aren't getting enough, internship opportunities. And honestly, for a student, those internship opportunities are gold. I mean, for us, they were really important. So I'm just going to say, if you're not getting it right now because the industry is low but picking up, don't waste your time by just sitting at home. There is a lot you can kind of work on and develop on the side, your soft skills, it could be online training, it could be you in your own personal kitchen. And like I was sharing about social media, kind of try and do something small from home. And I know a lot of kids have been doing something or the other in terms of caterings. And, I know chefs and students who've seen me run a weekend kitchen from home, and they've been inspired and they've messaged me. So it's great. I mean, you have the opportunity. It's tough, but make use of what you can right now, and the market will get better, because ultimately people are going to go out and eat, and the hospitality is going to come back to its glory. I really hope so. So just that's what I wanted to say, and it's just been a pleasure speaking to you and being here on this panel.
I'm so delighted to have all of you, and thank you for that.
So, that was pretty extensive, and I think that pretty well summarizes what we wanted to discuss. And I must say that I've had a wonderful time interacting with all of you, and a very big thank you for doing what you've done today and giving your time. And I hope we can do this more often going ahead in the future. So before I sign off, I would like to request my colleague Nishant to please give the vote of thanks. Over to you, Nishant.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kavina, and I think it was a absolutely wonderful session to hear all these esteemed panelists talk about their experience. So on behalf of the students and faculty of IHM Aurangabad, I would like to thank all the panelists for their involvement and their willingness to take part in today's webinar. I would also like to thank and for the support from our IT team led by Mr. Zakirullah and the digital team led by Ms. Smita Parmar in helping us produce the Thursday talks at IHM Aurangabad. Finally, a big thank you to the audience who have joined us today. And we'll be back next Thursday with another interesting panel discussion on our series of Renewing Resurgence. Until then, goodbye and good night. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.